Hi everyone, so I'm back with another tutorial and this time it's a mixed media tutorial. So I'm upcycling some chipboards to create an altered mixed media Valentine themed frame. So I start off with some pieces of chipboard and I have used a couple of craft angle stencil along with craft angles texture paste in white color to create some textures on these chipboard. I personally feel with mixed media, the more layers and more textures you add, the end result is much more beautiful and it has a lot of details. So I try and add as many textures to it as I can. As always, the list of all supplies that I'll be using in today's video will be linked below. Whenever you're using any mixed media paste along with your stencils, make sure that once the stencils are used, you immediately clean them off. I have a separate container containing water and I put my stencils there so that they don't dry up, and then I'll clean them all together. I'm piecing this chipboard pieces on my square chipboard, which I think is approximately 7 by 7 inches. Again, it's a scrap, so I don't remember the measurements. So my plan is to create a mosaic like effect on the chipboard base and then convert it into the frame. Since it was Valentine, I had initially decided to color this red. However, at this point of time I decided that I'll probably be coloring it using rust effect paste. And with mixed media, personally that happens a lot with me, that I start off with one plan and then I move on to another. I'm using craft angle sand effect texture paste to add even more textures, and at the left corner at the bottom I have created a cluster of resins, wood and chipboards to create a love themed scene. Now I'm starting off with the brown shade of my rust effect paste. As you can see, it's slightly dried out. The problem with Indian climate is that it is very hot and sometimes the moisture that is there in this paste dries out. So there are a couple of pointers that you need to take care of whenever you're using mixed media products. A, always keep the foil. Never throw out the foil whenever you open your paste. Second thing is that whenever you feel that your paste is becoming clumpy or it is thickening up, try and add some water when you are done with it, clean water, or use some glycerin so that it retains the moisture that is drying out when your paste is not being used. Once the brown layer is dry, I apply the red color of the rust effect paste by craft angles. Again, the same process. The beauty of these pastes is that these are opaque in color and you can layer them on each other as much as you want till the time you are happy with the effect you get. Now you can see over here that I am adding a lot of red colored paste because I personally like the effect of red rust the most, and that is why I am applying quite a lot of it on my base. Since these are textured paste, along with adding the color and the effect of rust, it also adds the texture of rust. So when you touch the layer, you will feel like the layer is rusty. So that is what the textured paste does to the project, and that is how it is different than just layering chalk paint or any other acrylic paints. Once the red layer is dry, I move on to the third color, which is orange. Now the orange and the yellow color, which will be the next, are personally more of an accent colors for me, and these add more to the depth of the rust, because if you would have seen rust in real life on a pipe or on a metal, it's not uniform. There'll be different layers and different tonal values to the rust, and that is what gives it the realistic look. So as you can see, I'm adding more orange at some places, and I'm adding orange with a lot of water at some places. What this does is this reduces the tonal value of that orange paste, and that in turn gives me a lot of layers and a lot of depth, just like real rust. Now I move on to the yellow color, and again it's an accent color, and I don't apply it everywhere, only where I need to accent certain areas of my frame. All these four colors, which come as a part of Craftangle's Rust Effect paste, are meant to create a rust-like effect in whatever combination you use them. So the amount of colors that you use and the combination or the order in which you use them is a completely personal preference. However, I find that I get a much more realistic rust-like effect if I use black gesso as the base and then start with brown and move on to the lightest color, which is yellow. So once I'm happy with how the rust looks, I move on to adding some shimmer to my frame, and I use Craftangle's waxes for the same. The colors of waxes that I have used are Gorgeous Gold and Vintage Gold. Now I felt over here that I went a little bit overboard and I have added a lot of waxy gold effect, and I did not like how it turned out. So to tone the same down, I'm again adding Craftangle's Rust Effect paste to certain areas. So over here I'm using all four colors together, and I'm adding browns to some areas, red to certain areas, yellow and orange to some other areas, again to create a lot of depth and tonal values to the background. I personally feel that mixed media as an art form is very forgiving. At any point of time, if you don't like the outcome, you can scratch it, go back, add a layer of a gesso, and then start again. So that is what I really like about mixed media. Whenever I do a mixed media project, I feel it provides me with an artistic freedom. So now I'm again satisfied with how the frame looks, and now I decide to add certain more depth by adding a different type of gold, and for that I use Craftangle's gilding flakes in gold. Now what I do to add the gilding flakes is that I apply Fevicol. Yes, Fevicol to certain areas, and then I stick those gilding flakes to that. I have tried this earlier on a paper and it did work. So once you apply the gilding flakes using Fevicol, you can again apply Fevicol on the same, and this will seal the flakes into the frame. Post that I am using some chit chat stickers by Tim Holtz Ideology, and I have decided on what kind of layout I want, and I stick the same using Craftangle's gel medium. So once this gel medium dries, it's permanent, and this is the glue that I use for all my mixed media projects, and here also I have used the same to layer my chipboards as well as wood pieces, resin pieces and chipboard pieces on my frame. Now I have decided to use a wooden clip, and I'll be sticking the same on the frame on which I'll be attaching the pictures, and that will be interchangeable. So I take a wooden clip from my stash and I color it, and I basically do the same process on it that I did on the frame. So I use all the four colors of Rust Effect paste so that it merges with the background, and I also use some gilding flakes on it. So I'm using Craftangle's gel medium to stick the clip to the frame, same as I did for my other layers of the frame. And this was the project for today. I hope you enjoyed today's project, and I leave you with some close-ups of the same. If you do like my projects, don't forget to like and comment, and do consider subscribing. I hope I bring out more art forms to you this coming year. Thank you.